Do you feel like that we can maintain our greatness as a nation, our greatness in the eyes of the world, our greatness in the eyes of our own people in the United States of America? Do you think that we can overcome these splitter groups and their false ideologies and radical groups on either side? I think we can. I think we just need to understand that as we see radical groups pulling one way or the other, that we all as a people have to just pull toward the middle and see our common ideals and what really it does strengthen the nation. We do have the Richard Spencers and the white supremacists that it's all in one degree or the other. That's one thing people don't understand, is that white supremacy is in one degree or the other, and not everybody has the same degree of belief in white supremacy. And also, when they throw around the word white supremacy, it don't always even mean prejudice toward the other race. Sometimes they're just referring to the system that was set up, because it was set up by Caucasian people, that necessarily they feel like it has to be more on their side. And so that's what they mean by white supremacy, not necessarily even racism. And so we have to consider all of that. And so as we see the word white supremacy being thrown around, we have to know of all the different shades of meaning that it has, and not think that we have a majority of the people in the country that dislike people of the other race. That's just simply not so. And as unfortunate it is that we have the David Dukeites, the Richard Spencerites, and those people. That's a small group. And then we have small groups on the opposite side that have grown to believe that they can only benefit the most by being pulling into their own particular ideals, their ideals that will be, that they feel should be extremely against anything that was proposed by Caucasian people. And so those the two groups pull against each other. But what happens is, the more radical one side becomes, the more radical the other side becomes, in order to offset it and oppose it. And so the solution to the whole thing is for each side to pull more toward the middle, and realize that we all have to, the only answer is for us all to pull together and learn to accept our differences, and learn to not let those differences cause us not to be able to work together to maintain this as a great nation. And as we work out more and more of those differences, we have to keep uppermost in our mind that we have to keep our nation on a sound basis. We can't so pull against each other that we destroy the nation that we all love and that we all believe in. Most everybody all believes in. The majority believe in. The majority of both races believe in. The majority of all the races have sent people into battle for this country. All the races have. Black, white, Asian, all the races have fought for this country, died for this country, shed blood for this country, and believe in this country. There's people of all races serving in the armed forces today. Even perhaps more of the black races serving in the military today. And many of them have benefited by what the Army and the Navy, the Air Force, and Marines, and so forth had to offer in order to give them an opportunity to show leadership and be all they could be. And they owe a debt of gratitude to that. And that's the whole thing that we all need to look at, whatever race we are, to be grateful for a country that at least is attempting to free all of its citizens and attempting to put everybody on an equal basis. And we're at least heading toward the ideals of freedom and prosperity for all. And we need to be grateful for the steps we've taken. Be grateful that at least we have those ideals, whether or not they're actually in practical reality in every situation yet. So maintaining that gratitude for having the opportunity to live in a great nation will help to maintain this nation as great. And we can overcome all of these so-called divisions and prejudices against one another. They're actually only superstitions, and they're only suspicions that are groundless. And when you're dealing with groundless ideologies that are really don't have any basis in fact, and are actually just false ways of thinking, such as those extreme white supremacists that believe that only the Caucasians should inherit this nation. When we look at those groups, we should realize that they're false and realize that they're groundless, and therefore they will not succeed. And at some point, they'll all fall through and be defeated in their ideology because it's a false ideology. And so when we hear people say, "Oh, I'm afraid. I am so afraid," whatever race they're in, they'll say, "Oh, I'm so afraid of the white," meaning Richard Spencer and those like him and like David Ducott, so afraid of those people, of what they're saying. Then they need to just stop and realize that the majority of the Caucasian people do not believe that way, and that it is a groundless ideology that holds no basis in fact and will not succeed in the future. And we have ideologies that will succeed if we all pull toward the middle and embrace those ideals of freedom, liberty, justice for all, and continue the fight to march toward that. That will strengthen the nation, and that will help to oppose those extremist radical groups better than anything else. That'll help to oppose them, because people will see the actual reality. So we do not need to break apart into radical camps, but rather we need to pull toward the middle and try to find out what our common heritage is and what our common values are and what the common future we're going to form together, where every race, creed, and color is welcome equally in this country and has an equal input into the future of this country. If it is not that way now, it's rapidly going to get that way. And we have to understand that and believe in that. And believe in that, and embrace that. And just basically ignore, be aware that these extreme groups and these radical groups exist, but then basically ignore them as far as goes as what we're looking for the vision of the future of the country and what we really are all working for. Keep your eyes on what we are really all working for, and that's the way we will preserve this as a great nation. And when we really begin to stop and think about what is the core beliefs of everybody in the country, what is really the foundational beliefs, and what is it that the majority of the people believe, you can look at any race in the country and there are certain values that every one of them believe in. Because every one of them have common needs to provide for their family, to have security, to have a hope for the future, to have a vision for the future that is bright and that will make it better for their children and grandchildren. All of us have those common values. And if we'll seek to provide those needs to every family in the country, of no matter what race, we can't help but succeed. We can't help but move more into a greatness as a nation. And the greater we become as a nation, the more we'll be able to take care of all those inequalities and make up for all of the part of the disenfranchisement that has gone on in the past. The more we'll overcome all of those superstitions like Jim Crow and the superstitions of inferior races and the superstitions that we've had in the past. We'll move toward a time when those are overcome through education in the right way, which means education in our common ideals. and education as to how to move toward our common ideals. Not something that is going to cause us to move further and further in one direction. This is a real vision that we can all embrace. And we can elect leaders that have this vision. And if we elect leaders that have this vision, then we'll stop a lot of the rhetoric that tends to do what some people call dividing the nation. It's really not dividing the majority of it, it's only dividing those radical groups from each other. And the sooner we realize that, the more we'll know what the real solutions are. So, maintaining this country as a great nation is a very real reality and possibility because of the greatness of our people and because it is just a simple fact that we have great people, educated people, people with the right ideals, people with great light within their soul, people that have embraced their angel nature. We have people like that in every race, creed, and color of this nation. And these people are the ones that are going to really be the true leaders in the future. And that because they're the ones that will be capable of having the vision. If you pull off into a hate group that hates one race or the other, then that's going to destroy the real light that you have within your soul. And that's going to cause you not to have the vision you need to be a great leader. And therefore, you're not going to, what your ideology is not going to succeed anyway. And so, we need to realize then that really we are on a firm foundation. The country of the United States of America is really on a firm foundation, and it's really still on the foundations of which it started. And we just have groups that are creating a lot of media attention, and they're sounding a loud voice, but they're really only minority groups. Nothing to be feared of, nothing to be feared, nothing to be worried about. The only worry we have is just in maintaining our ideals in the middle. All races come together toward the middle and recognize each other for their common powers and their common inspiration and their common values and their common needs. As long as we do that, we have nothing to fear about the future. We have no fear that the country is going to fall from its position of greatness in the world, from its high mountaintop of shedding abroad love and strength and power and light to the world. And the way to achieve democracy in the world, the way to achieve freedom in the world, will continue to be a beacon of freedom. But every once in a while, we have to stop and ask ourselves, how is this country going to maintain its status as a beacon of freedom to the country? Is it going to be by bashing one another and telling ourselves that only our ideology is correct and the other side just has to be put out of business because they're interfering with our particular ideology as far as what we want the government to be and so forth and so on, and how much we want the government to do as far as providing entitlement programs or these ideals like this that really don't have anything to do with whether or not we become great as a nation. Our real, true core beliefs are what establishes us and makes us able to continue as a great nation. We have too many weak leaders that embrace certain ideals and feel like in their mind that those ideals they're embracing necessarily cancels out the other ideals that other people have, or cancels out things that other people believe. And that's simply not true. People are going to continue to believe what they continue to believe. And getting up and embracing some radical ideal is not going to change their mind. And the same way, you're not going to change racial prejudice towards, whether it be the supremacy, white supremacists toward the blacks, or the blacks toward the white, or whatever it may be, or Asians toward blacks. You're not going to change that radical idea that easy. So we're going to pray that everybody will, I will have to end it here, and we'll take up on the next video. Oh God.